The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie game. Is it worth playing in 2025? Stay tuned to find out what I think, based off my experience of playing the game. If you like this type of content, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to see more. Now, let's begin. Before I start getting into the nitty gritty of the game itself, I'd like to note that I started playing the SpongeBob movie game on the PS2 in October 2023, over several days before dipping in and out of the game later that year. Then, I stopped playing the game for nearly a year and played through other games during that period before resuming my playthrough in October last year. After that play session, I didn't return to the game until 2 months later, and then I began to continue playing through the game for a number of days at the end of December 2024, prior to continuing several days later in January this year. Therefore, I've spent quite a lengthy period playing through the game. As we know, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game is based off the film of the same name, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. It's worth mentioning that this game's development was rushed in order to release around the same time as the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. As a result, the game first released in North America on the 27th of October 2004, while the film was released on the 19th of November in the same year. Due to the rushed development caused by a strict deadline, the movie game came out less than a year after the previous SpongeBob game, Battle for Bikini Bottom. Thanks to the game being rushed, it is quite buggy. If I'm being honest, I just don't understand why the game is so difficult. It's essentially a kids game based off a kids show. I mean, I can't imagine how many kids who played it at the time actually completed the game, at least beat the story. All 18 levels, and yeah, that's quite a few levels as well, to be fair. Don't know why it's as hard as it is, but again, I think, like I said, I think it is also because of the fact that the game was rushed. The game definitely isn't as polished as it should be because of deadlines, of course, and wanting to release the game in time for the film. For example, concerning the gameplay, some of the levels consist of platforming, like the previous game, Battle for Bikini Bottom, which was a pure platformer. Those levels are a decent length as well, to be fair. The platforming is, it's decent. There's some fun to be had. I mean, when I started playing the game, I was kind of enjoying it, when I started playing it initially and doing the platforming and playing as SpongeBob and also Patrick. You get to play as both characters, like in Battle for Bikini Bottom, but they are the only two characters you get to play as. They do have some good abilities. There is an upgrade system, so you get more and more points, which I guess goes towards your XP, I suppose you could say, and then eventually you can level up and upgrade your abilities and get new ones. There isn't just platforming, as there is a bit of variety here and there. A few of the levels also consist of driving a vehicle. All of the driving levels consist of driving the same vehicle, I think, which is the Patty Wagon. And to be fair, those levels, I mean, they're somewhat okay. I suppose the driving is okay. The handling could be worse, but it also could be better. I do understand that it is, the vehicle is not exactly ideal either, it's a Patty Wagon, and that's fair enough in a way. But, I mean, okay, they're not as long, which is fair enough because the tracks that you drive through are not short either. But as a result, I suppose those levels shouldn't maybe take as long as the platforming ones, but again, they are still challenging. I'd probably argue that the driving levels were my least favourite. And then there's also a bunch of sliding levels. They are a somewhat similar length to the driving levels. The map, the track is quite expansive too. With the sliding levels, one annoying thing about them is that there's so many different paths that at times if you just keep following the same path, you'll go around in circles. So you have to be looking out for other pathways and then taking those so then you can actually progress further in the level, which, yeah, that can be annoying, but it does add to the challenge. It makes it more difficult and it makes the level more complex. I suppose probably due to the gameplay of the sliding compared to the driving, I'd say I prefer the sliding levels. I'd probably still say that I prefer the platforming levels overall though. One thing I want to talk about is how the game's designed, and I really don't like how it's designed. Sure, there's 18 levels, that's fine, but then you unlock a bunch of challenges after you've completed a level, or it might be once you've, visited a certain area, or you've found a challenge in an area that you might be able to do in that level there and then, if say you're doing a platforming level, and then you can go back and do those challenges to earn more Goofy Goober tokens. And Goofy Goober tokens are an important collectible in the game because in order to do certain levels you need a certain amount of Goofy Goober tokens to begin playing through those levels. Throughout your playthrough you will collect Goofy Goober tokens. You will have to complete some challenges, or to be honest, a lot of the challenges, in order to get Goofy Goober tokens. There will be certain levels where you'll unlock a new ability, and in order to use that ability you need a certain amount of Goofy Goober tokens to make that ability available, so that you can actually then play through the level, because you need that new special ability to progress in that level. And the annoying thing about that is that you have to backtrack as a result. So you get to a certain level, you need this many Goofy Goober tokens, you don't have that many, so then you have to go back through the levels that you've already done and look for any challenges that you haven't completed, so then you can start doing some of those and get the Goofy Goober token. And again, a lot of these challenges aren't easy either, which makes things take even longer. Say if you complete more and more challenges on a certain level, they do get harder. I mean, for example, with the sliding levels, you have a bunch of ring challenges and time challenges. The first time challenge is not so bad, the time is more lenient, but then you have a harder time challenge, which is the macho time challenge, and that time is it's significantly stricter. And the problem is with a few of these macho time challenges in the sliding levels, they honestly are really difficult if you just try and play the level normally, for example, or try and just find your way around. Make sure you're choosing the right pathways so you don't end up going around in circles. The thing is with this game is that maybe this is due to the rush development, but some of the shortcuts are honestly, or some of the ways you have to sort of speed up your run through, just ridiculous. I mean, as I played through more of the game, I felt like I had to keep looking at walkthroughs more and more, which I'd rather not have to do when I'm playing through a game. But the odd few times where it was obvious, really, and it was not something I thought of trying out or doing, while other times it was just something that I would never have figured out, and so I would have been here forever trying to complete the challenge. For example, one of the macho time challenges. One of those challenges on the sliding level, there's just a ridiculous sort of shortcut you have to take, or maybe even a bug that you might have to take advantage of. You really have to maybe take advantage of a bug that shouldn't be in the game, or a ridiculous shortcut. I don't know. I mean, I know macho time is meant to be way harder, but I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous, especially as well when all you want to do, or a lot of people want to do, is play through the game and beat the story, and that's it. And that's what's frustrating about this game. There's certain levels where you have to get a certain amount of Goofy Goober tokens, so then you have to backtrack, do all these challenges, a lot of them are hard, and then you wonder, how the hell am I going to do this one? You've attempted it so many times, and then you end up having to look at a walkthrough in order to do it. This happens numerous times, because there's a few levels where, again, you have to get a certain amount of tokens to unlock the new special ability for you to do that level. I feel like this is something that shouldn't be part of beating the main story. I feel like you should only have to maybe backtrack or get more tokens once you've completed the main story in order to get 100%. It honestly got to the point where I got to the 17th level, and the thing is, for the 16th level, it was already bad enough that I had to get, I think it was 40 tokens to do that level. And then right after, back to back, you've got another level where you've got to get 50 tokens. Was it 42 tokens when I got to that level? So then it's a matter of getting 8 tokens, and I got a few more tokens, but then I've already been playing this game over a long enough period anyway. The challenges take time and they're not the easiest, and then the last several times I've played the game, I just haven't really been enjoying it compared to maybe at first when I started playing it. I've only played Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I haven't played the original yet, but I honestly do prefer that to this game. The way that it's designed and the fact that it's literally just platforming. It's not having to go through a number of levels and then having to backtrack in order to get more tokens to do the next level. And I feel like the movie game is probably quite a bit more difficult than Battle for Bikini Bottom 2 based off memory, and it really shouldn't be when it's a game for kids. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of kids got frustrated with the game back when it came out and didn't finish it because of how ridiculously hard it is, which shouldn't be the case, but it is. And it just shows that the game should have had more time in the oven. So back to what I was saying, I got to the 17th level and then found out I need to get 50 tokens now, which is ridiculous considering I just had to get 40 for the last one. I think I did one or two of the challenges maybe, but I just gave up then. I've just had enough. I just want to move on to other games. I've played through most of the game, but I haven't actually completed it. I haven't actually finished the main story. That's unfortunate, but yeah, that's what's happened with this game. A few good things I will mention though are that there's a plethora of extras you can collect in all the levels. The extras include concept art and cutscenes. Also, compared to earlier SpongeBob games like Battle for Bikini Bottom, Clancy Brown does return to voice Mr. Krabs, so you can at least hear the original voice actor for Mr. Krabs. And most of the cast from the film do reprise their roles in the game too, which is good. When it comes to the game's story, it is loosely based off the events of the film. A lot of the cutscenes consist of stills from the film itself, which, okay, it's good to see stills of the film in the game, but compared to other film tie-in games, why not actually use film footage? But then this could also be a result of the rush development of the game. But then, okay, at the same time, the French narrator from the show does narrate over the stills, and he is narrating the events of the film. And in terms of the story length, well, you know, like I said, I was talking about the gameplay, there's 18 levels, so that is, you know, that is a fair amount of levels, to be fair. So as a result, it can still take a decent amount of time to play through the game. For me, it definitely has, thanks to the difficulty as well, and again, having to backtrack through levels and do some of the challenges in order to get tokens, in order to be able to do the level you're currently on, which of course really slows things down. I mean, the game would probably still be a decent length anyway with the 18 levels if you didn't have to backtrack, but this really does extend the playtime. But again, I wouldn't say it's extended in a good way because of the way the game's been designed, and I don't like how you have to do things, which is getting a certain amount of tokens in order to be able to progress in the story and do a certain level. I think already you have to have 52 tokens to complete the story, but essentially, you know, you have to have at least 50 tokens before you get to the final level. And I just think, you know, if you're only doing the main story, why am I having to do all of this, or why is there this requirement? Like I said earlier, this should be something that is for a completionist. So when it comes to the soundtrack, I suppose it's fair to say the soundtrack is good, although personally I do prefer Battle for Bikini Bottom's soundtrack. Nothing that particularly stands out to me, and no tracks that I particularly favour, unlike Battle for Bikini Bottom. Overall, is the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game worth playing in 2025? Personally, this will be the first time that I'm going to say no. I think there's some fun to be had with the platforming and the sliding levels, as well as SpongeBob and Patrick's abilities. What puts me off the most is the game design, really, or how it's designed so that you have to get a certain amount of tokens in order to progress in the main story, in order to be able to do certain levels that you get to, so that you can unlock a new ability. So it is worth bearing in mind that if you play this game, you have to do a lot of backtracking. You will encounter some bugs as well. If you're looking for a SpongeBob game to play, try Battle for Bikini Bottom instead, either the original or the remake. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this type of video. Be sure to give this video a like if you did, and maybe even subscribe to see more content like this. Enjoy the rest of your day, and that is all.